Three, two.
Hi, everybody. Kurt P. White here, and we got my co-host today, Dr. Marianne Hoyle.
Hello,
Welcome,
everyone.
welcome to the source. And before we get started today, let's hear a little bit or see some from our business members and our sponsors. The pieces of the puzzle that I've decided provides, there's 10 of them. Tools and resources are 2 of them. The resources where I kind of find where we fit in. Doing it the way we do as a vodcast or podcast, we're a source of information, a source of motivation, a resource for the people that might need a little bit of encouragement. It's a resource for them to be able to achieve their goals and dreams. If this show, The Source, can help our members do that, I'm all in and I'm excited. Hello again. Welcome for joining us here at The Source. Once again, my co-host, Dr. Marianne Hoyle, and I were pleased to be here.
Yes, we are.
Live for us here in the studio. Hopefully you can see, obviously, we're still practicing our social distancing, but we're excited because this is the first day for a couple months now that Dr. Mary and I have been able to actually be in the same room together. So it's so glad to see you.
So glad to see you.
We've been certainly making do the best we could, as many people have been in the interim. But once again, we're excited to be here. We're happy you're here with us today. Here to watch The Source, and as always, the topic of the day is going to follow along with our I've Decided success journal, and our weekly winning word of the week is redirect.
Redirect.
And we were sitting here talking, of course, before the show, and there's all kinds of things that we can talk about, especially nowadays when it comes to the word redirect. But we're going to try to at least keep it to more of a personal conversation of what those words mean to Dr. Marianne and myself. And of course, we're going to use the weekly winning resource, which all of our members that I've decided have part of their membership as a benefit. We're going to kind of follow along with those guidelines too as we go, but let's just keep it light and simple. We went straight from it's that time of year, I guess, too, Dr. Marianne, with the weather. We got last Thursday I know we were doing roasted weenies and sitting around in a sweatshirt.
Yes.
And then today, I think the heat index is in the 90s.
Warm out there. I turned my air on.
It turned into a steam bath real quick. So, with everything going on, with the weather changing, and this the first time for us being in the studio here in a couple months, we're just going to kind of keep it light and more of a conversation. And let's talk about the word redirect. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Awesome. Well, we'll start with as we always do, I like to start with our Success Journal gives a definition and a quote. And the definition of redirect is to change the course or direction of. Within the weekly winning article, it also mentioned that there was part of the definition is changing the course towards your destiny. I don't know if you happen to catch that or not, but when I read that kind of piqued my interest a little bit, because anytime we find ourselves, changing course or redirecting in life, a lot of times it starts out by being a negative thing, something that happened to us that we think, oh man, the world's ending,
Yes.
and how am I possibly going to pick up and ever get back to where I was once before? And the truth of the matter is, almost every time that happens, another door opens. And for me personally, what I found is whatever opportunity lies around the next corner, for me, has been one more step towards what I feel is my purpose.
Yep.
Which my purpose being this: sharing, using my gift of encouragement, my communication, my sharing my stories. I just seem to get one step closer every time it seems like a door closes behind me. I'm redirected, and it seems like now I'm even closer to the path that I should be on.
Kind of like A little bit, you're under a little bit more understanding.
For sure.
Yeah, of the path.
Yeah, and it's like
Yeah.
eye-opening or more of a revelation, and
That's happened to me too.
and I just, do you find, like I said, a lot, because I was also thinking, my wife over the years, and as I've witnessed, it certainly isn't much of a help, but she watches toddlers. Has done that from time to time at home, and one of the things that she does very effectively, and what I've heard over the years, is if a toddler's misbehaving, doing something they're not supposed to, and seems to be obsessing, they can't get, well, you redirect their behavior.
Exactly.
Point them to in another direction. And for me, again, this, well, they were doing something bad. you know let's point them in the right direction towards something more positive.
Something that is better. Yeah. I think even, first of all, we have to think about redirect it's a change. To me, it's a change whether you want it or not, kind of a thing.
Absolutely.
Because mostly they're bumps in the road. They have been for me,
Right.
which creates a change. I always say that I've been blessed because I've been saved many times of what I thought was the perfect plan, and it was not.
Right.
And I was redirected to the perfect plan.
Awesome.
So it's part of knowing that if, like I think you said before, when one door or window shuts, it's okay, take a breath, because something else is there.
Yep, and you definitely hit on something that was one of the talking points, is the fact that in life everything changes.
Everything does.
Every day.
That's what makes it perfect.
Exactly, and
Yep.
but that's sometimes that's a hard lesson to learn and to understand.
For sure.
We seem to get so comfortable and set in whatever, like you said, there's a, whether it's the perfect job or the perfect scenario or the perfect relationship, and you just sit there and say, oh man, this is absolutely great, there's nothing else that can make this better. So then what happens when something changes, which is inevitably going to happen? Our whole world seems to fall out from underneath us. Well, the most successful people in life are the ones that are able to anticipate that, but then also understand not to be naive, to say, life is full of changes. Nothing is ever going to stay the same.
Nothing.
And we were talking a little about, and I think
Yeah.
it changes with how old you are too, and your maturity level. When you're in grade school or a junior high school student, you know, anything, especially that would maybe be bad in your life, you feel like there's no end in sight, that this is going to be the way my life's going to be for forever. Everything is, and that's just not the way it is.
No.
Once you get
it works
older,
both ways.
Exactly. And
Yep.
as much as we want to plan or think that we know what's going to happen, and be prepared, well, it seems like God's timing is always a little bit different than ours. And one thing we know for sure is everything changes.
It will change again.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's probably, that's, they always say he's up there laughing sometimes, and I think sometimes, depending on where we're at, he waits till that most opportune time to say, gotcha.
Yes. What were you thinking?
Exactly. Anytime we find ourselves having to redirect to or change our path, whatever it is, the road to success we're on, when we're hopefully taking steps to find our purpose or get closer to our destiny, a lot of times when that change happens, we discover that there's some hidden talents that we may or may not have known that we had before. Has
Haven't
anything
had the
happened
opportunity
to personally?
express them. I think that for me, in the last 10 years, as things have developed, I have perfected the talents that I've already, I don't know about perfected, but I have made them much better.
Yeah,
the talents that I already have had, kind of honed in on them and made them better.
Sure.
So, I don't know if it always has to be another talent, but I think we're always perfecting talents. And sometimes, I know a lot of my friends or patients talk about they just need to go do something different.
And
So, and this time of the year, a lot of people getting outside and doing more of those kinds of things, is doing much different.
right.
So, yeah,
Well, and some of the things we've talked about in the past, it's not just the fact that these talents that we have are hidden for many reasons.
hmm
The redirection just provides an opportunity to reveal them, I think. And there's all kinds of things that hold us back, fears, worries, whatever's going on in our lives. But you know, for me, a lot of it is humility too.
yes.
Anytime we find ourselves redirecting or having to make a change, a lot of times we find ourselves sitting down to a big old fat piece of humble pie, and and getting over that hump of the fear. If you're trying a
That
new
you
thing,
failed.
exactly. For me, I can give all kinds of examples, but one that I would count more as a hobby is singing. I love to sing, but I can't. you know,
Yeah.
but once I got over the whole idea of people will think that my voice is terrible or whatever, they make fun of me. Who's that? Get him off the stage. Who cares? You know. Um, so getting over that fear was helped me tremendously as far as finding a hidden talent. So now I guess what I say is I find myself I love going to karaoke. I don't mind standing up on the stage and
Singing your
sometimes
heart out,
making a
huh?
fool of myself. It doesn't matter. What do I care? But and it's weird because growing up I kind of always had that attitude anyway. I wasn't really too wrapped up in what people thought of me, especially with my appearance. I'm obviously,
Not
physically,
taking things so personally.
exactly. But again, that's all just type of the growing and the maturity, which is another talking point too, is growth.
Yes.
Um,
How much we grow through change.
exactly. And when we redirect ourselves, if we are wise enough or mature enough to look back and try to find the lessons and what the meaning of why this is happening the way it is, there's ultimate opportunities for us to grow and learn from what's happened in our past.
Yeah, and even emotionally.
Oh yeah.
If you're feeling one way, I mean, we have choices in how we feel,
Mhm.
and there's lots of ways to help ourselves
Which
to redirect.
you help. That's part of what you do with your
Yeah, it
with your
is.
clients. Yeah. Is
Yeah, to help them
mhm.
redirect because yes, we're right, that did happen. It's
Mhm.
part of it, but it was the past.
Right.
And now what do you want to do? Because you're not there anymore.
Mhm.
Redirect.
And that's a great point. I we get so wrapped up in the physical, our physical health and
Yeah,
on those, and now especially the mental health is just that much more important, and it is important as we
very
go
important.
through any kind of challenge or redirection that we also our mental health grows and improves and we become more healthy.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure you see that just
All
about
the
every
time.
day.
Feels so good. I love
To be
that
able to help
feeling.
people, isn't
Yeah.
that awesome? Yeah,
Help.
which
Yeah.
and being helpful or asking for help goes back to the whole
I was
idea of
gonna
the taking the bite of the humble pie.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say that the
Mhm.
biggest step is asking for help, even myself, because
Mhm.
being able to recognize that you could use some help and being aware,
Mhm.
and it's okay, not taking it so personally.
Right.
It just is.
Well, and I always tell people when I'm giving my presentations, it's always okay to ask for help. More
Always.
often than not, the people whoever you're with, they're they're there wanting to help. So
I
it's
love
it's
the term reaching out.
that's
Because that's
interesting.
what you're doing.
Mhm.
When you're asking for help, not everyone's going to be able to help you or
Mhm.
whatever, but using the feeling, the word reaching out,
Yeah.
um, is a good way to think of it and to get help.
In my mind, I see the picture that, and it highlights the fact that it's a two-way street.
Yep.
You know, there's the person that's asking for help, and then I always tell people too. You need to learn to accept help too.
Yes.
There's people that are so stubborn, you know,
My sister
that
taught me a very valuable lesson about that. This was
uh-huh.
a few years ago. We were putting together a big family gathering, and there's like 64 of us, or there's a bunch of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember her telling me, when anybody asks me to help to do anything, I have learned I always say yes. I
Sure.
don't say no anymore. I always say yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I've worked on that and worked on that because it's interesting how we have that tendency just for little stuff. People helping you feels just as good to them as it
Sure.
does to you.
Well, and you're not a distraction. It's
Nope.
it's not a sign of weakness.
Nope.
You know, if anything, I think it's a sign of strength and courage.
Courage, for
And
sure.
and then to come to the realization that, there's really no way that you can be successful, find your purpose, and do all the things that are being asked of us uh, to perform here while we're here on earth. You can't do those by yourself.
No,
You've got to have people surrounding you,
that's
and
why we're
and
so social.
exactly, and to claim that you are able to do that on your own, that's when people get in trouble.
No.
So it's all part of the maturing process is to understand that, take a bite of the humble pie, ask for help, and know that it's
Be
okay.
open. Yep, be open.
um, I think the one thing here at the end that we haven't talked about yet is anytime you find yourself redirecting or making changes, there's an opportunity to build up or uh, to exercise patience or learn perseverance. And I think we touched on it maybe a little just by saying a lot of times things don't happen exactly when we want them to happen. The time may not be up
we
to
kind
us,
of
but
want, we're kind of making them happen
yeah.
when we're doing that. Yes.
Well, and so often we're a society that we think we need and deserve everything now. It's immediate gratification. If it doesn't happen, we get frustrated.
Yes.
Um, it'll be okay. Take a step back, take a deep breath, as you're being redirected. Keep your eyes open. Be open to the fact that maybe whatever's on the other side of this door is going to be bigger and better than what you could have ever imagined before. But you've got to be
And I
patient.
think even be open to listening to other people's ideas. Because sometimes we don't know things about ourselves where we wanted to redirect to.
Mhm. Mhm.
But if we're not asking for help, and not that you have to take the help
Mhm.
exactly, but be open to listen to possibilities
Mhm.
to help you. Yeah. There's a lot of resources for those things.
Sure. And those are as you find yourself being surrounded, people lifting you up, empowering you, encouraging you. That's I think when the perseverance kicks in.
Yep.
When you can learn to understand that this isn't the end of the world and I am going to be okay, and by going through this process, yeah, that some of it's going to be painful, you're going to be uncomfortable, but the perseverance just continues to build up within you to where, you know, things don't seem to rattle you as much if you can learn some of these
To be
ideas of
patient,
to be
to
patient.
allow it to happen.
In one of my my uncle's favorite sayings I remember from what is to endeavor to persevere. And that was that was a line that he kept telling me. Of course, the setting for that was as we're sitting in a boat for hour upon hour and the fish aren't biting.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, Kurt, you got to endeavor to persevere. But uh, so yeah, I think as far as redirection goes, we hit a lot of the,
Yeah.
if not all of the ideas that were in our weekly winning resource. I hope that all of you during this time where we're doing a lot of Zoom meetings, and I think I've seen you a couple times on the
Hmm.
computer screen, but I hope all of our members, what I've decided, are continuing to keep up with the resources and the information that we've provided, especially in your success journals, the weekly winning resource. We've got several success groups out there that
Yep.
even though we're not necessarily meeting at the garden, I said there's been ample opportunity to go out and find a hidden talent, which is maybe figuring out a computer program,
Right. How to use
which
Zoom.
how to use Zoom, which we've all learned over these last couple of months.
Yep.
But all of those resources that are out there, and for those of you watching and listening today, I want to thank you again. Dr. Marion and I like to think that the source This program here gives, as far as the pieces of the puzzle, we're the source for a resource and information and a tool that all of you can use to think about uh, where you're at in your journey, where we're at during the month, where we're at during our, you know, our success plan for the year. We hope to be able to provide some information along those lines. Because as we all know, if you haven't joined I've Decided yet, please go out and find us. The best way to go is through our website, which is the
Yep.
www.ivedecided.org. All kinds of information out there. It's easy to sign up. You can become a member, a community member for as low as $15 a month, just with the click of a button.
Yep.
Uh,
Easy.
all of our success groups, everything that you need to know is out there, including the contact information if you have any questions. Like and follow us on Facebook.
Yes.
Is another great resource. We keep everything up to date there, and I think as our time is drawing to a close, I just want to again thank you, Dr. Marianne, and
Thank you,
hopefully
Kurt.
we've turned the corner here now, and this will be a redirection where we'll be once again able
We'll
to
get to see you next month.
come together and do this in person on a month-to-month basis. So,
Yep.
thank you everybody for joining us. We hope you have a great day.
Thank you.
PeoriaLife.com.
Ta-da.
We rambled through that good enough, I guess.